Margaret Butler is looking at going to prison for defending the climate. Check this interview out and share it with your friends. Ding the bell, leave your comments, and please subscribe to our channel. On the line with us is Margaret Butler. Now, you may have heard of the Extinction Rebellion, and I'm going to ask Margaret to tell us a little bit more about it, but she is going, along with 4 other people, is going on trial in court in Portland Monday morning for an action that the Extinction Rebellion in Portland took that I think you really need to know about, and I think there's also larger issues here. The website is XRPDX, as in Extinction Rebellion Portland, xrpdx.org, and that's also the Twitter handle. It's XR_PDX, and whoops, wrong page here. And they're going on trial here on Monday. So, Margaret, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks for having me on.
Could you start out by telling us what is Extinction Rebellion, where did it come from, and how did the Portland chapter come about?
Sure.
Just real quick.
Extinction Rebellion started in Britain in 2018. At least it burst into public in 2018 when thousands of activists shut down all the bridges in London. And I read about it, and I was really excited that people were saying, this is an emergency. We have to deal with the climate crisis right now. And since that initial action, it's spread across the globe. And the demands of Extinction Rebellion are very simple, that the government must tell the truth about the climate and wider ecological emergency, that the government must enact legally binding policies to reduce carbon emissions to net zero by 2025, and that instead we demand a citizens' assembly because we don't trust the government to make the bold, swift, long-term changes necessary to get us out of this emergency we're in. And in the U.S., we have a 4th demand, which is a just transition that prioritizes the most vulnerable people and indigenous sovereignty, and sets up reparations and censors indigenous people of color, and poor communities in the work that we do.
So what is it that you and your 4 compatriots with Portland's local branch of Extinction Rebellion, xrpdx.org, what is it that you did that ended you up in jail and now in court? Is this and this is Multnomah County Courthouse? This is a local charge?
That's right. So we actually took 2 actions that launched the Extinction Rebellion chapter here. On April 20th, Easter Sunday morning, 11 of us brought a dump truck load of topsoil and dumped it on the rail yard and railroad tracks at Zenith Energy Corporation. And we built a Victory Over Climate Change garden and brought a tiny house and a scarecrow. And we told the city that we were rezoning the area from industrial park to open space. And we invited the city to join us in this. And the reason we took that action and then came back a week later and did it again is because the city has a policy since 2015 of no new fossil fuel infrastructure, but Zenith, by using an old construction permit owned by the company that was on the space before they were, has gone ahead to move from processing 12 oil train cars at a time to 44. And that hit the news in February of last year. And people in Portland are outraged about it.
So by putting the dirt on the tracks, did you shut down the trains? This was actually a violation of commerce, as it were? Okay.
Yes, we blocked the trains.
So, of course, you were arrested. I think the principal charge against you is criminal trespass.
That's right.
And that's not a small thing. You can go to prison for that. What sort of penalties are you facing, and what sort of a defense are you going to make? I understand you're making an affirmative defense that is not, we didn't do it. So tell us about that.
That's right. That's right. We are making what's known as the necessity defense. We're saying that, and there's a lot of law that says if there is an emergency with imminent harm happening, you can take action to address that emergency and imminent harm, even if it's breaking a law to do so.
Right.
And that's
so. This is like, I mean, and that would be most often used in cases like, a husband driving his pregnant wife who's having contractions to the doctor and speeding, or from that up to much larger scale things. But how often has that necessity defense been successful, and in what kinds of cases? Do you know?
It has been successful in a number of cases, mostly around, there was a case around nuclear weapons and one around South African protest. In the climate movement, we've had one of the valve turners had a court rule that they should have been allowed to use the necessity defense, and then had the charges dropped against him. And then our own... You
said one of the valve turners? What's that?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. There were, I think, 5 or 6 people who, in a coordinated, peaceful, direct action, turned off the valves, turned off all the flow of Alberta tar sands oil into the United States at the same time. They broke in and turned off the valves. And so the one who did it in Minnesota and went to trial in Minnesota had his charges dropped after a court said he should have been allowed to use the necessity defense.
Wow, I'm impressed.
And then Ken Ward, who's going to trial with us, his case went up to an appeals court. The appeals court said the trial judge should have allowed him to use the necessity defense, and he's going back to trial again in May on that.
We just have a minute here before we're going to hit our hard break. To what extent is will the judgment of this, Multnomah County Court be appealable? And if if this goes against you, where do you take it? What do you do next? And also, how can people support you?
I assume that it would be appealable. Whether the prosecutors would decide to do that or not, I don't know. And the way people can support us, they can come to the Multnomah County Courthouse and watch the trial. They can get it
next Monday morning, right?
Yeah, Monday morning, probably through Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. And it opens at 8:30, as I recall.
That's right.
Yeah.
And, the other way is, of course, to get involved in Extinction Rebellion indirect action, because we don't have a lot of time.